my name is Matt Carter. I'm a guitar player from Emery. I've been in the band since 2001 when we started it.
Now, how does it feel that all these years later, people still care about the question?
The interesting thing about it to me is the age of the people. So on one hand, there's people that were listening to the question when it came out, but half the people at these shows are people that I'm certain were too young to be Emery fans when it came out, which means they found out about it because of older brothers and youth group leaders or people that showed them the music after the fact. Because it's still the crowd that comes out to shows is a young crowd because they're more than older people. So we've been a most fortunate thing about our band has been the fact that people have continually gotten into the band later and later as going on. So we don't just have fans from 10 years ago. We have fans that have only been our fans for 5 years, and they still like our old stuff like The Question. So that's way beyond my imagination of anything I ever thought. So it's that blows us away.
Yeah. So is it? I think you've spoke about this on the podcast a little bit, but is it tough to be playing these old songs when you just have this brand new record out, and now you're focusing on the past stuff that you've been playing for years already?
It's not really that bad because there's something more scary about playing new songs. Like it's a bit, like I don't want to play the new songs really. In the sense that like it's a little bit scary and intimidating to like learn them. Like we've been playing Walls and So Cold I Can See My Breath for 10 years. And I know how to play it. I know it's going to go well. Playing the new songs is very fun and very rewarding, but it's also scarier. And you have to learn it and figure out. You don't know what moments of the new songs would work well. You don't know how it translates live. So we know we made the record, we know we like the songs, but fitting them in live is always hard. So honestly, I love playing the old songs. So not to mention on the question here, there's a bunch of songs that we're playing that we never got to play live in the first place. Right. So it's very validating to go back and play The Terrible Secret and Misbehaving and songs like that we've never had an excuse or opportunity to play live before. So in a way, we are playing new songs as well.
Yeah. So it's a front to back.
Yeah, well, we're leaving out 2 songs that Devin sings on,
okay, because
it's just simpler and makes more sense. But yeah, we're doing it front to back style and leaving out a couple of songs.
And then will there be newer stuff sprinkled in, or?
Yeah, we're doing some new. We come back out, we do the whole thing, and then we come back and do an assortment of other songs, including some new stuff.
All right, is there a song on the question that you can't stand performing at this point?
The song "The Terrible Secret," I mentioned it as it's neat to get to play, but actually that one is not going very well. It's difficult. I don't know what it is, and like we played on the whole last tour, and we worked on some on this tour, but for whatever reason, that song is super simple sounding and poppy, but I don't really think it sounds good when we play it. Like it's not. It feels like it doesn't work, and I can't figure out the reason why, so that's kind of frustrating. On the other hand, the track before that, Misbehaving, we've never played it before, and it's so good. It feels exactly like I imagined it would to play it.
And it's fresh for you.
And it's fresh, yeah, because we've never been able to do it before.
So, how do you think maybe the band's stage presence has changed since the first time you played these songs till now that you guys are older and more mature?
Yeah.
Do you think there's
more
a bigger...
mature? Well, you can translate mature there to like old and slow and stuff. I get that. It's we've always kind of made our bank on the fact that we were, at the time we were starting to do it in 2000 and 2001 and get into music, we were trying to move around and be energetic on stage in a way that honestly really wasn't that common. And then at some point during our career, it became more standard or more ubiquitous that people were really aggressive and physically moving around doing stuff on stage, which is the thing that we'd always done and tried to do to set ourselves apart. And so at some point, that became a little bit less of an awesome new thing that we felt like we were doing to a normal thing. And additionally, we've gotten older and older and slower and bad backs and bad necks. And, Toby's 39, I'm 36, and Josh's 37. I mean, we're older guys, so there is no matter how committed we were to it, there's no way we could physically do what we have done on stage that we used to do. And so the trick for us is to try to still convey the energy and intensity but we jump off of less things and headbang at a slower rate that we used to do. For sure, but I feel like I can play my guitar a lot better than I could 10 years ago. I'm sure that my timing and intonation and execution on guitar is a lot better. So I hope the show is still intense. I hope we're still able to, convey that intensity and in a performance that translates to the crowd. And then also we kind of rely on the crowd to really have fun and show us what they think how to interpret this music when they dance or move around or jump or whatever too.
And if it makes you feel better, the people that were originally listening to the question are probably headbanging to your music a lot slower.
Yeah, they had to be slower too, right?
The question sort of follows this concept from song to song.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the new record does, as the podcast said. When Toby comes with the lyrics and kind of the direction of, I guess, the vocals of the song, do you ever try to make the music sort of like a flowing concept as well? From track to track, I guess.
Yeah, well, usually the songs are individual compositions that originate out of not tied to one another. And then once you have them, it's very important to me to try to figure out the right selection of how to place them. And so it maybe doesn't matter, I don't really know, but in my mind I definitely think about repetition of key and tempo and feel of songs when it's time to make the final track order. But it's not something that I've ever worked on before the songs were written, like, oh, now we need this, the next song should be this. Right. It's later, but to me it really does bug me when things don't flow well, or you'd have this song in the same key 2 in a row sometimes is weird. Or sometimes it's actually good, but it's an artistic judgment call on how does one song flow to another. Yeah. Sometimes I think 2 songs in weird keys, like the key change from one song to the other, is just too weird, so that can't be the order of the album. Yeah. So we do take a lot of care to get the sequence right in the end.
All right, cool. Well, you're sitting on this new record. Are you guys already thinking of what's next, or are you guys kind of like a slow process where when you get there, you'll get there?
We've been discussing a little bit. Dave and I were working on the ideas for the way we want to approach the drums to the new album. So that's just where we're at. We were talking about what kind of sounds we want to be and what kind of approach and how aggressive and what use of, what kind of things can we do drum-wise that'll be pushing boundaries and unique and not the same old, and try to transcend the genre stuff a little bit and try to have a real unique approach on drums. So we were talking about stuff like how we're going to use cymbals and what type of drum patterns we'll use. So it's very preliminary, but that's the first step. Is we think what is the overall idea for the album? What should it feel like? What would be the progressively forward boundary pushing musical moves? Okay. Should it be louder? Should it be softer? Should it be more dead? Should it be more big and obnoxious? Those kinds of decisions start first, and that helps us refine when an idea comes up. Is that helping further what we want to do, or is that that sounds like an old idea, or is this a forward-thinking idea? So progress is what we're looking for, is like the right style of progress. But beyond that, we don't have any songs or anything written.
All right, let's talk about the podcast a little bit. And you're doing this right now. So what are some of the challenges of being on the road and podcasting, playing shows, BC?
It's awful. I mean, it's terrible. It seems like it would be easier because we're together, or we could interview people on the road, or maybe there's people. But the day comes and goes so fast because we travel and drive, and there's just so many demands on your time in the day now. It comes and goes so fast. Like I have to record a podcast today, and then I have to edit one and publish it tonight. So I'm inevitably going to play the show, come back, and then be on my computer getting it ready and write a description and post it. And I have to, record.
Work all day.
Yeah, so everything winds up being last minute when you're on the road. It's just like whatever's right now. Like, you have a deadline. You have an interview right now. You have to be at the VIP set right now. Your set times right now. Oh, guess what? You still have to do podcasts. You have to get those out. So it is hard. It seems like it would be easier because we're together and stuff, but, the day schedule is so difficult with the travel part of it that it feels, I can't. it feels like there's no free time sometimes. Sometimes there's tons of free time and you have nothing to do, and sometimes you cannot get all the things you must do done in a few hours. So
now with that being said, what's more gratifying to you at this stage of your life? Getting that performance done on stage or getting that podcast done?
Honestly, my favorite thing to do is the acoustic VIP set, because it's so fresh and organic. We're playing different songs and it's real and it's super vulnerable. That is I really am enjoying that a ton. Doing the podcast, I love. Like, I have so much energy behind it, so many thoughts about it, so many ways I want it to be, and so many things I like about it and don't, that it is very satisfying for me to do the podcast. I still like making records. That's a big one. But playing our live show, as much as it sounds bad to admit, is probably the least satisfying thing that I do. I like actually being on tour. I like the energy of it. I like being around people. I like the thoughts and conversations that come out of it. But the 45 minutes or hour and 15 minutes that I'm on stage and the loud rock set is the most rote, like, repeatable, least. It's one of the less gratifying things. And I know that's not the most satisfying thing to hear to a concert attender, but that's where I'm at right now.
I'm doing it a long time and every day.
Yeah.
So I feel you. Let's see. What else we got? Where do you see Bad Christian as a brand growing, and what is your hope that it would reach?
Well, I could say in some way that it's already more stable and maybe even larger than I had anticipated, in a way that makes me really comfortable where it is. So I don't know if we have exponential growth in our future, but I hope so or something. But on another level, I really don't care. Like it's what we've got right now is super good to me. It's very validating. It's very enjoyable. It's satisfying. It's stable. We have some people that work for us, and there's money that comes in, and we're able to do what we want to do. I'd love to be able to do it better. I'd love for it to grow. But to tell you the truth, for the amount of time we put in it to its stability and what it's doing, I'm very happy with it. So I would be really glad to look at it as something I would like to maintain. Like, I feel like it's in a really great place. And not something that I feel this big struggle. We got to break it. We got to make it bigger. Like, the audience we have is so good, and I feel so comfortable talking to them. That's the whole idea in the first place. So that I'm into, like, maintaining and sustaining that is kind of where I'm thinking at this moment. Like, what does it take, instead of just focusing on growth? How can we really maximize and enjoy and serve well the people that are enjoying this and make it fun for us and for them, and then whatever happens is good, because it's already totally successful from my point of view.
Right. And last question, what's next for Emery and the podcast that you'd be willing to share, at least?
Well, I don't know. I don't have any plans. Like I was telling you before, as far as
just What about guests on the podcast? Can you reveal anything?
No,
I don't know.
I mean, we really do shoot pretty close to the hip on it. Like, we've got 2 episodes recorded of interviews and stuff, and I mean, we'll figure out who we're going to talk to next week probably. Like, it's like, there's a million people that we can talk to, and I'm sure we will. And like, I don't feel much of a sense of urgency of, like, oh, you got to get. People say, oh, you got to get the Matt Thiessen from Reliant K. Well, and to my point of view on that is, yeah, well, definitely we'll do that
eventually.
I mean, I don't have to do it next week. There's so much to do, and it's so endless that I'm sure we're going to talk to a million really great people. So it doesn't have to be next week. So I'm just going to worry about next week. But we're not super organized. We don't do stuff way ahead. It's usually a week and a half ahead when we decide what do you want to do now, what do you want to do next week, and then we just figure out what works and do it, which is good. You know, it's so it's a small thing, and we can be flexible that way, as opposed to slave to some big calendar or corporate calendar or production schedule. We don't have that stuff. We just figure it out, or somebody comes our way and we say, all right, 2 weeks from now we're going to talk to this guy. Oh, great, that's going to be awesome. So we take it a week or 2 at a time. So we really don't have plans massive like, we don't have any big amazing stuff to drop that I even know about. It's not even like that. It's just we'll get to that in the next week, and I'll let you know. You'll know within a week and a half after I know, basically.
All right. So, closing thoughts. Anything you want to add? Say. Let the fans of whoever's going to read this know.
No, not really. I think that question's always a little bit difficult, but I
question. I hate asking it.
Do you ever get anything good from that question?
Sometimes.
Because some people probably have something they're real passionate about that you didn't ask, or I've got this nonprofit that I'm working, some stuff like that.
Yeah. You know who Carrie Job is?
Yeah.
One time, right before we started the interview, she said, "Let me look at your questions," and then she goes, "Oh, don't ask the last one," and then we started like rolling. So then I had she just kind of like threw my whole game off. So I just kind of ended it open-ended. It was awful. So I asked her a question, and then I was like, "Yeah," and Carrie Job, and like that was the interview.
So you think that question functioned as just a wrap? It's a nice way to.
For me, that kind of wraps it up, at least in my head. And sometimes for the artist, I guess. For Carrie Job, I guess she just despises that question.
Well, it's no matter what, it is the last question of every interview, and I never really know what to say on it. But I do understand the function of it, because I can imagine that a lot of people go, yeah, but I wanted to talk about my this or this or this or whatever. But
all right, better
I thought your questions were real. You covered covered a bunch of stuff anyway, so.
Thanks.
I'm all good.
So here's my last question: whose bed am I sitting in?
This is only an office bed. It's Bunda's office bed.
Oh, good.
And that's it.
So
he sleeps down here, but this
I'm
is
not soiling anybody's.
No. I mean, I hope you don't stink it up, but yeah, nobody actually sleeps there. We use that for our office.